going on, everybody? Welcome into the special weekly recap edition of the Daily Energy Newsbeat stand-up here on this gorgeous February 8th, 2025. Holy smokes, dude. We just had a fabulous time at the NAPE Expo.
You bet.
I'm tired. It was a long week. We had such great interviews, and we had
Wow.
a great week of shows.
Oh, it's unbelievable. We're not going to get to the 34 that we did last year.
No, thank goodness.
Thank goodness. That was brutal, but we have had a ton of fun here and unbelievable. I'll tell you, it is just a phenomenal thing. They do a great show.
No, absolutely, guys. We appreciate you also tuning with us all week. Nothing like doing a couple live in-person episodes of the stand-up. We don't get to do this that often, so we appreciate you guys hanging with us. Teams picked out some of our top stories for the week, so we'll go ahead and chalk that over to you. A lot of Zelensky, a lot of rare earth minerals, a lot of stuff that we talked about. We'll go ahead and toss it over.
Gazalago.
We'll go over and toss it over for the team. Before we do that, guys, quickly again, www.energynewsbeat.com, the best place for all your energy and oil and gas news. Stu and the team, again, tremendous job keeping that website up to speed. Everything you need to know to be at the tip of the spear when it comes to the energy and oil and gas business. Hit the description below for all the links to the timestamps, links to the articles. Check out Reese Energy Consulting for all of your oil and gas marketing needs, and that's oil and gas marketing, not necessarily social media. So I always like to make that suggestion. And then invest in oil.energynewsbeat.com if you want to become Billy Bob Thornton from Landman. But Stu, let's go ahead and toss it over to the team. We'll see you guys next week.
Musk gains full access to US Treasury system. This is amazing to me that we would have to sit here and fight to get control of the U.S. Treasury system. The DOGE team discovered, among other things, that payment approval officers at Treasury were instructed to always approve payments, even to known or fraudulent terrorist groups, Elon Musk says. The Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, established by President Trump, led by Musk, aims to identify and eliminate wasteful government spending. That would result in a $1 trillion deficit, but economic growth would be able to match that number, which means no inflation in 2026, Musk wrote. This absolutely lets you know that over the last 40 years, the Uni Party in the United States, both Republican and Democrat, under the Treasury were committing treason. I'm going to say it right now. You can absolutely be a school you cannot sit there and even pretend to think that the United States Treasury was doing their job. They were funneling money out the door to terrorists, to people that did not have the U.S. government and the U.S. citizens best at heart. Well done, Doge. Well done, President Trump. And it is despicable, the rhinos as well as the Democrats that let the Treasury go on. Quite honestly, if it comes around to it, and if the Treasury does get replaced, if the Fed gets totally replaced, I would not be totally unupset by it. It appears there's a lot of corruption going on. Russia gas exports via key Black Sea pipeline hit historic high, and according to Reuters, deliveries of the Russian natural gas pipeline via the TurkStream pipeline reached a historic high, according to data analyzed by Reuters, when it occurred when Kyiv shut down transit of the fuel to EU countries via the Ukraine. Kyiv decided at the end of 2024 to terminate its 5-year gas transit contract with Russian energy giant Gazprom, cutting off Russian pipeline. What you're seeing is a geopolitical equation that is going to help people end the war in Russia. I'm all for General Kellogg going out and really trying to work with President Putin and President Trump, and let's end this war. There's a couple different ways that you can talk about how to do this. Germany has had the left-wing green energy policies going on. With the green energy policies, they have gone through a total deindustrialization of Germany. And so goes Germany's economy, goes the EU. Now you start having to see that there is a call for Chancellor Scholz's new person who is going to be trying to run against him coming up in the, I believe that's in the March elections, is that they want Nord Stream pipeline to come back online. If President Trump is listening to this, it might be beneficial to see about buying the Nord Stream that is still capable, because then you could negotiate with Canada to go ahead and say, hey, wait a minute, I'll get the two turbines to go on each end of that because there's a problem between Russia and Canada. And then President Trump would have cash flow coming in from the Nordic Stream pipeline that you could turn on from Gazprom. Russia would get cheaper natural gas, but then you could plan out when to have these other ones come back online. And then you could sit there and really be involved. You would help Russia. Russia has done a great job in securing their economy, even with the sanctions that were put on by the Biden administration, because they were not enforced. And you sit back and take a look. President Putin would not have invaded Ukraine because President Trump was not going to do what NATO did. NATO encroached on Russia. Do not forget this. So when you sit back and take a look, I am hopeful that General Kellogg, who is working with President Trump to negotiate on this, this is a complicated process that's now going on. And I'm quite pleased that there may be some things come forward. And President Putin needs to have an encouragement to do business in the EU to come back to the table. Right now, he does not need to do anything, and he can go off and sell his natural gas to Asia, and Ukraine can just sit there and keep losing. The way to end the war is to encourage natural gas sales in the EU, and let's end the war. Anyway, just a personal point. USAID tried to block DOGE audit. You can't buy this kind of entertainment. Why does this matter to energy? You ask, Michael. Go ahead, ask me that.
Why does this matter to energy?
USAID was the one that actually gave Hunter Biden and Burisma unlimited loans for drilling in Ukraine. Where did all this come from? You're about to see all of this pile out in the record keeping. They did not want this single thing coming out. So it is absolutely abysmal. No,
Yes.
they tried to cover up their corruption.
Okay. I have a little bit more of a nuanced take on this.
Okay.
From the standpoint of, I've never been a fan of USAID. I've heard it, if you would all hang out with Stuart Turley, you understand the deep state, you understand, where all of the meddling that we do overseas. Okay.
Right.
A lot of these guys they are behind coups in Africa. They're behind government takeovers in Singapore. But Elon Musk is an unelected official, and the Constitution clearly gives Congress the power of the purse. And so while I am in favor of the moves he is making because they align with my political beliefs, I personally believe what he is doing, running around as an unelected bureaucrat. Unelected, you might ask. He's no, time. Let me finish this. Nobody elected him. You casted a vote for Donald Trump and J.D. Vance. You didn't cast a vote for Elon Musk. No.
I'm going to give you my opinion.
No.
I'm going to give you my opinion when I'm
what?
done. When you're done, I'm going to give you my opinion.
Okay. If this was George Soros running around doing this for Kamala Harris, you would think what's going on right now is a coup in the United States. That's a fact. So the fact that Elon Musk is doing this gives me cause for pause to say, is this precedent that is being set by unelected bureaucrats running around? Yes, shut off USAID. I'm all for it. But the Constitution clearly gives that authority to Congress. And if we can read it in the Constitution. So while I am in favor of what's going on here, what this does is chill my spine a little bit, because this eventually, like Chevron, remember the Chevron deference? That was passed by Republicans in the Reagan administration who thought giving authority to institutions that they control would be a great thing. Well, guess what happened? Then for 20 years, Chevron deference was used by, guess who? Democrats who've been in charge for the last 20 years, basically, give or take a little bit of George Bush. You could argue whether or not he was a Republican or not. But the point is, this does give me a little bit of a scare when it comes to precedent, and the fact that if George Soros was running around in the same capacity that Elon Musk is, running Kamala Harris's Department of Government Efficiency, we would be on this show screaming from the high heavens about a government coup. So I'm just nervous.
Let me say, okay, your point is very valid, but here's the difference. They tried to hide and not allow Elon Musk in. That's first off.
Because technically the U.S. Congress appropriated money to them, which is given to them by the Constitution.
But they also have been funneling, none of this was also being funneled under terrorism, and they were going to terrorist other folks. So no, the Constitution, you're mixing two different things.
I don't disagree with what you're saying.
The money was not given to USAID under certain bills. There is a big money hole that's going on here.
I agree with on USAID. It's like, does it matter the end goal or the path you take to get there? You learn that in Sunday school. Does it matter about how you get to a right conclusion matter the path? I'm with you. USAID USAID should be gone. We should defund
any payments in the last 40 fucking years.
Okay. I agree with you. I agree with you on USAID. My question was, if George Soros was doing this to...
He has been.
Well, so then two wrongs make a right? I'm just nervous because this power is going to come back to bite us. I don't mind Elon Musk coming in and implementing new software systems to speed up the government. My issue is in 15 years, when the Democrats eventually take over, because it's all cycles. This isn't just going to be Trump's not going to be in power for the next 20 years.
No, he's not.
So what's going to happen when...
You're off base, in my opinion. And I think that you're being an ideologue on this when you sit there and you take a look at the trillions of dollars that have been stolen from the American people over the last 40 years. That's where it is now coming to light, and we're about to see how far bad it has gotten. What President Trump has also done today was set up a sovereign wealth fund for infrastructure and going through this. You're going to see some new things coming around the corner to protect against this coming back around.
All for sovereign wealth fund. Yes, I'm an ideal. So I like the Constitution. It's just crazy. I know I'm crazy. I know it's just mind blowing. Follow the Constitution, but we've done enough of this. This just gives me a little bit of a chill.
You and Ilhan Omar said today that we are now in a Constitution disaster right now. This woman is an illegal alien in the United States that married her brother, and then you and her are sounding the same. So China to impose tariff on US LNG. This also went out on Substack.
Yes.
Hey, the China Ministry of Finance said in a statement Tuesday, the U.S. government announced that February 1st imposition of 10% tariff on all Chinese goods exported to the U.S., citing fentanyl shipments and other things. Oh, guess what their response was? We are going to tariff LNG.
Yeah. I tell you what, they imported the most they ever have, China did last year alone. And they're geared up and teed up, mind you, to even buy more in 2025. Let's see how good this economy really is and see how long, because as Michael Tanner mentioned in the intro there, Canada and Mexico came pretty darn quick.
Oh, they did.
Yeah, well, the difference with China is their power demands are, here in the United States, we produce about 13 million barrels of crude oil, and we consume about 21. So we are a net importer, and we actually import a lot more relative to what we export due to the different blends. We do get a lot from Canada. It's part of the reason why Canada caved so quickly is because we buy a lot of their Canadian oil sands crude. China, it's about double what we are. Right. So they are a huge net importer, meaning Okay, great. You're going to tariff all. They could quave quick. They have a little bit an easier job to sustain this, but as we've talked about on the show, Stu, a lot, their economy's not doing great.
No. No, and I like how you brought up the fact that we're producing, somewhere between 13 to 14 million barrels of oil a day. And here in the great state of Texas, we just got our numbers for the month of October. I know a few months, but we finally got them. And actually, Texas produced 44% of all oil that was produced in America in October alone. So we're doing a pretty darn good job, and we really can't complain. And don't forget that Texas is, as we go back into the story, the actual liquid natural gas Saudi Arabia of the world. So I say bring it on, and let's see how long they can last. But I loved how one individual from the world, from China, said this was a violation of the World Trade Organization to put these tariffs on. And it's like, give me a break. Stu, that's not real, is it? No.
In fact, they how much do they actually buy from the United States? They tariff anything anyway. So, in fact, Canada has tariffs on the U.S. right now on agriculture, 250%. So this is the tariff. All the tariff talk out there is hogwash. What we are seeing is a right sizing on the rest of the world. President Trump go forth and tariff.
And he's expected to speak to the president of China, Xi Jinping, here real soon, if I'm correct.
Oh, what a concept. World leaders talking to each other.
But Xi Jinping just had a potential alleged stroke. I just heard this Sunday. And so that he has had the CCP has removed him from control from the military. So there are some things going on over there.
Oh, interesting.
New EPA chief Lee Zeldin targets anti-Trump bureaucrats. And yeah, I've got one for you here on I got a question for you on this one here. President Trump, the EPA, I love Lee Zeldin. Lee, if you're out there, I want to have you and Chris Wright on a panel, and we want to talk about how we can deliver lowering the cost across the United States to all consumers in the United States. But RT, if we're going to lower costs, President Trump said to Lee, by the way, if you're going to put out one regulation, you have to eliminate 10 others.
Yes.
Wow.
That is how you do it. Could lowering regulations help an EMP operator save money?
Oh, absolutely. Be just in the bureaucracy alone and jumping through the hoops that this is going to be able to save operators money, not only in Texas, but more importantly, in other parts of the world where the Bureau of Land Management really manages all the minerals and everything that goes on. And, for anybody out there that's ever watched Shameless Plug or listened to my show, The Crude Truth, I've been on there before saying that I support the EPA. Yep. It has done wonderful things in its time. We don't talk about the acid rain up in the Northeast anymore. The Clean Water Act of the 1970s or late 60s. It has done great things, but it has been turned in the last 20 years into a weapon against the oil and gas industry. And so to have somebody like Lee Zeldin in there, very, very excited, along with Chris Wright getting sworn in and Doug Burgum. I mean, what a team. What a team.
Yeah, I love this quote that comes out from Secretary Zeldin, who now is officially confirmed 56 to 42. I don't believe that anybody should be here at the EPA who is not committed to the agency mission and the lawful directions coming from the duly elected president of the United States.
I agree.
Good.
He will definitely have his work cut out for him, as this article says, and we know that he can do it.
Let's go to the next story here, and it's really showing that is truly Germany must now act to stop. The unions are all lined up, and the problem that they're having, Germany must act immediately to stop deindustrialization. The unions are calling for it.
Yep.
Wait a minute. You'd now have no nuclear. They've had to fire their coal back up, and now we have no natural gas. Rut-row. If Scooby-Doo was an energy policy, Rut-row would actually be on their policies.
I want to say this. This is 2 days in a row that you guys talked about Trump. And I think for your listeners out there, I think it's very key if you guys can explain why exactly we need to be focused on what Europe doing and how America can be better at that as they'll continue to focus on these things.
You bet.
It's been a waterfall effect.
Yeah, well, a lot of it's because Europe's a net importer of energy. And so if they are a net importer of energy, the question is, where are they going to get energy? We talked years ago, or last year, the big topic was Qatar. The Middle East was setting up huge import, export, 30-year agreements with Europe. And now then with Nord Stream that happened last year with the Ukrainian SEALs coming in and taking them out. It's a joke. It was definitely the United States. It was probably USAID. It was probably funded by USAID. But the reason why it's so important is because if Qatar can't quite, and all of these Middle Eastern countries either stop supplying or the supply goes dry, the United States can step in. And I think that's what Trump is counting on, and what the United States LNG market is counting on, is that Europe is going to be a huge, huge net importer.
Oh, absolutely. So the IG metal represents 2.2 million workers from sectors including the car, manufacturing, steel, and electronics. And your point is very valid. Why does Germany matter? So goes Germany's economy, so goes the EU. But guess who is imitating Germany? New Jersey, New York, California, all of the green energy policies are following right in line. And so your point is out of the park, huge for this. The union's deputy leader told Euro TV that the EU and incoming government can still stop the job losses. The only way, and you heard this here second, the only way they're going to stop that is if they get low-cost natural gas from Russia.
Yep.
And that is, now, can they get the higher cost LNG from the U.S.? Absolutely. Can we do it at the best possible way? Yes. The Reese Consulting Group have cradle-to-grave solution going from LNG all the way to Europe. But can even the Russian natural gas solve their problem? No.
No.